You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are here with another Women's Hockey Spotlight, talking to another Toronto player on Women's Hockey Spotlight. This time joining us is Daryl Watts. Now, you signed with Toronto. This will be your second upcoming season in the PWHL, and we'll get into all of that. But first, Daryl, I just want to talk, what were your overall impressions coming into a brand new league, once again for women's ice hockey, but some epic returns in season one. What was your take from the perspective on the ice?
It was incredible. I think everyone in women's hockey was so excited to have one singular league where all the best players in the world, out of college were competing, head on head. So that was incredibly exciting and so much fun to, just play against all of my peers and, big names, small names. It just gave opportunity to so many that, few had in the past. And then, the media attention for the PWHL was incredible. And that was something that really surprised me. I didn't really know what to expect for this season. Just because, women's hockey leagues in the past, some have been successful, some haven't. But I think just in general, women's sports is booming. So it's definitely an exciting time to be a pro women's hockey player. But just being a female athlete right now it really feels like a special time.
Hey, women's sports on the rise. We love to see it. It's about dang time. We know the product has always been good. So love to also see that women's hockey in that conversation as well. So, you played with PWHL Ottawa. You talked about this just a moment ago. I mean, it's best playing against the best all in one league, but also we saw what we see in the NHL, even right now, the WNBA underway, and that, you're getting also arguably different eras, little small pockets of time in women's hockey, all converging on the ice together. So what was it like, to play with some of the heavy hitters that you had on that roster in Ottawa?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to play with Brianne Jenner, and, she's obviously a couple years older than me, and I grew up watching her. I'm Canadian, she's Canadian. So, we finished the year on the same line and, built some really special chemistry. And obviously I look up to her and I learned so much from her, not just on the ice, but off the ice, the way she carries herself. So, that was really special to play with her. And then, there's so many incredible players on Ottawa. I could go down the list, but there's just so many, older girls that I didn't play against in college. So to be in the same league and on the same team as them was really cool. And, Emily Clark is one to mention. I missed her at Wisconsin. She's a couple years older than me. So to play with her was super cool. Savannah Harmon, she's obviously American. She's an incredible defenseman. I could just go on, but I guess it was just really fun to play with so many players that, you look up to. And just having the opportunity to finally, same league, same team, it was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned two of or a couple of the top scorers, but you were in that mix as well, Daryl. Let's not forget, you were up there. So top three in points, but goals overall, you actually were able to beat out as you said, your line mate towards the back end of the season. Gabby Hughes also up there. Katarzyna Mrazova, fantastic talent. And then Teresa Vanishova, also a former teammate of yours that you reunited in Ottawa. But I want to ask you this because for those who maybe are not familiar with your hockey journey, especially on the pro side, Daryl, you came to, at the time, the PHF league and the Toronto team, and you came in mid-season, mid-form, and, you and I have talked about how it can be tough. You hadn't been on the ice. You thought maybe you were stepping away from hockey, at least at the most elite level altogether. But then you find your stride in the league predating this one, and then you come to the PWHL again, top 3-point scorer overall, top goal scorer on your team last season. What was clicking for you? What were you kind of feeling as far as your game, and how were your teammates able to support your growth on the ice?
Yeah, it's been when you put it like that, it's been a crazy past 2 seasons. Oh,
you're good. No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, I can't see you anymore, so I was like, oh no.
No, just refocusing. That's on me. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so past 2 seasons have been crazy. Like you said, I was retired for, I don't know if it was like 8 months or 6 months, but before joining the PHF, I stopped playing hockey and I had no intention of playing hockey. So that was a crazy experience just because, I wasn't on the ice for like over half a year. So the amount of muscle that I lost and just like, that was a crazy experience. I remember because I joined them mid-season and I was like, okay, we had lots of discussions about, I'm not the player that you would expect me to be just because I haven't played in a year. And I'll never forget the head coach, Daryl. For one drill, she wanted me to like dump the puck to the far end. And I was so weak that I couldn't raise the puck to the glass because I had lost all of my like forearm muscle. But That was crazy. But jumping to this PWHL season, I've been working incredibly hard since, joining 2 years ago, the PHF Toronto Six. I've been working with Gary Roberts' team. They train up in Newmarket, Aurora, like Richmond Hill area. So worked really hard with them to get back in shape and even, reach new levels of fitness, which helped me, I feel like prepared me for, the PWHL because, it's a lot faster than college hockey. And then with Ottawa, the players on the team, like I mentioned before, Brianne Jenner, Razova, played with Gabby Hughes, Emily Clark. They're just all special players. And when I joined Jenny and Mraska on a line, maybe like halfway into the season, we had lots of chemistry and, we just clicked. So I think once that line united is where I kind of found my stride and gained confidence. And that was an enjoyable time.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of wild. You're just not used to not being able to do certain things in small little drills, and having to build that back is kind of wild. But you're young still, so you were able to do it again, had success with that Ottawa team. So that brings me to this off season. You are officially unretired. We know you're coming back. You'll be suiting up for the Toronto squad. So, you talked a little bit about some of the team and some of the people that you have behind you to help you get to where you want at the elite hockey level. But, what will this offseason, or what has it looked like for you, Daryl, as you get ready to compete in another pro season?
Yeah, I'm back training with Gary Roberts and his team. Right now in the summers, they train out of St. Andrews College, which is a prep school north of Toronto. So yeah, just say, off-season training's kind of in full swing right now. It's just like the standard off-ice training and then on ice. There's actually a little league in Toronto, like a summer league. It started last season. It's run out of Canlan, Etobicoke, by Ray LeBlanc, and that's on Thursdays all summer. So I'm super excited for that just because, it's a really long off season, obviously, like especially for the PWHL. So I look forward to that every week.
I always find it interesting, athletes, how they approach off season. Like you said, sometimes there are leagues that you can play in. There are also a decent amount, at least here in the state, on stateside. I know that some players will do like roller hockey or like deck hockey, a little bit of that. And then there's also athletes that stay away from hockey altogether. Do you have a period of time once one season ends before another one begins where you're like, you know what, no specific hockey drills or activities, and maybe you just do other things to stay fit?
I would say like typically throughout like my career, I guess after the season ends, I'll take like 2 weeks, a month off, and just, go really light on the training. I don't touch the ice. I might have stayed off the ice this year for like a month and a half or something. But yeah, just train in other ways. I think it's nice to just step away from the rink for a little bit, let your hockey just like simmer down for a bit before you get like really back into it. You need to take a break.
Yeah, for sure. And I also asked Ali Monroe this question. I also wonder what your approach is. So in the PHF season, you got to play in the last game of the season. Not quite the same for Ottawa this past season. So what's your vibe when it comes to like watching the playoffs? Do you watch all of the games? Do you watch none of the games? It's somewhere in between.
That's a good question. I mean, yeah, like Ottawa, we didn't make the playoffs, which was sad. And I had a lot of like, bitterness and I guess, jealousy watching other teams, knowing that their journey was still going on and they could compete for the championship. So that always sucks to, be at home and these huge games are happening and you can't help but wish you were, there playing. I would say I didn't watch, or I watched the final game a little bit. But one of my really great friends is on Montreal, Michaela Grant-Mentis. I don't know if you know her. You probably do. So just, she's been my best friend for like 10 years. So I was really locked into the Montreal-Boston series. And I also have, with the women's hockey world is really small. So you have great friends on every team. So Sophie Shirley on Boston is one of my best friends too. So the Boston-Montreal series, I watched all of those games, but I didn't watch much of the Montreal-Toronto series. But
That's fair. Yeah, I think I can see it both ways. Like I think it's probably the same with film, right? Like some people love watching film. Some people are like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. I think I loved to watch my friends like on Boston and Montreal, but it was still like, oh, like this is tough to watch because I wish I was out there. So for the other games, it was like I just can't do it. I'd rather like watch Netflix. Like that's petty, but
hey, no, that's real. That's why I asked. Like as a former like very far removed from my elite level playing days and definitely not in hockey, like I understand. I was like, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah.
I get it. So I appreciate that. So what's like your Netflix go-to these days?
Oh man. Honestly, I'm a huge Netflix girl, but my summer's been kind of crazy for the past 3 weeks. So I couldn't tell you.
Gotta find the next.
Yeah, exactly. I need to find a show.
Like in between shows or
exactly.
Right now. I get it. I feel it. I feel like I'm kind of that way too. I switched over to Apple TV for a little bit. What's there's so many Chris's actors. What's the one who played Captain America? He just did a series.
Chris Evans?
Yes, Evans. Okay, I just started one where it's like wild and he's like his son is on trial for murder. It was really interesting. Yeah, and the woman from Downton Abbey is in that one as well.
Okay. That reminds me of an Apple TV one with Jake Gyllenhaal. It just came out.
Oh yes, that's the next one. That's the next one I want.
I'm gonna watch that because my brother said it. He watched the first episode and he was like, "Oh, it's so good."
I heard it's really good.
And I like that type of stuff. It's like murder mystery.
Yeah, exactly. Like, where is it going? Yeah. Okay. So now we're flip-flopping series. We got to All right. So let's talk about coming back to the Six. You were able to win a championship with the Toronto Six. You're going to be reuniting with some of those teammates there. But, what made this the right choice for you after, again, you met some success, especially on the offensive side in Ottawa? And what made this the right fit? What made PWHL Toronto the right place for you?
Yeah, I think, the first thing is I'm born and raised here. So, I'm at my mom's right now in Toronto. So, just born and raised here. I think it's such a special hockey city. Arguably like the best hockey city in the world. Like, obviously I'm biased, but my family's here, my community's here, my friends are here. So naturally, there's the inclination for that. And then I was really trying to find the place where the hockey fit would be best. Like, where will I be, where will I fit in the best? Where will I help a team, pursue a championship? And kind of all of those factors, led me to Toronto. And the first day of free agency was a really crazy, half day process, but I'm so excited and so fortunate that, I get to play in my home city. I think it's really special.
Yeah, I mean, talk to me a little bit more about that. There's so many things that are very established for the PWHL that are more of what a traditional hockey fan and quite honestly a traditional sports fan is used to, and we're starting to see that stabilize on the women's hockey side. But as you said, free agency the first day. I mean, I cover the Seattle Kraken, and I was like, whoa, like can't take this day off. Like so much happening. So what is that like though on the player side? I mean, I would imagine that you have some folks that you work with. But is it more of you kind of have specific things that you go in wanting? Do you balance that out with kind of hearing what other people are maybe thinking about your game and what they think could be a good fit? What was the process for you?
I think, for me, and I'm sure, others had the same kind of, I guess, process, but, you have ideas of, okay, where will I fit in? What does what do these teams expect from me? Like, how do they see me fitting into their team? How do I want to fit into their team? So it's kind of just, conversation. It's nothing crazy, just, I guess, hockey talk. And, um, you know, all of these teams, I played 24 games, everyone played 24 games. So, and, college before that and kind of your whole life, like I said before, women's hockey is small. So they kind of know who you are and you don't have to, like, one conversation is not, you're not going to get signed just through, sweet talking. It's, I would say for most people, kind of what you did during this season is what I guess brings opportunities for you. But yeah, just conversations with GMs, coaches, and just seeing if you both align with what you want.
And I know we're still in the off season. We're not even mid July yet. Well, I guess we're getting close to mid July.
Mhm.
But given that, I would assume that you've had at least some tertiary level, entry level conversations with Toronto on what their expectations or what the fit that they're looking for might be, and how you can measure up to that, what your kind of goals are. So I guess if you could give us broad strokes, Daryl, what are some of the goals that you have for the upcoming season, and what are some of the things that you hope that you can bring to the Toronto team?
I think the first goal and the biggest goal is to win a championship. And I know that's so cliche, but that's a very real conversation during free agency. Is it's all about winning a championship. There's nothing more than that I want than to win a championship, and there's nothing more than that the team wants than to win a championship. So within that, how do I feel like I can help the team win a championship? Obviously, I'm kind of like a goal scorer. That's my role. So um, just help Toronto by putting the puck in the net, whether that's scoring or passing, just fulfilling that role. And then, yeah, I would say, broadly speaking, that's, how I can help. And I'm excited to do that. And, it'll be exciting.
And you've already alluded to having a lot of friends and obviously people that you've crossed. I'm a New Yorker, so hard. Crossed paths with. There we go. You've alluded to that a little bit already throughout your hockey journey. So instead of asking who you're excited to reunite with, I actually want to turn it on its head. Are there some players or even maybe some staff that you will have a chance to work with in Toronto who you, of course, know, but haven't gotten to or know of, but haven't gotten to really know on your own accord? Are there any people, again, players or staff that kind of stand out in that way?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, because I joined the team like 20-ish days ago and it's summer, like I haven't met most of the team. Everyone's just, a name on paper. Um, but, of course, I'm excited to work with Troy, head coach. I'm excited to reunite with Kristen Campbell, Soupy. She was actually my roommate at Wisconsin my junior year, so I'm excited to, play on the same team as her. Victoria Bach, I looked up to her growing up. I'm excited to play with her. And then, there's players that I don't know as well. who I think are incredible, like Renata Fast, Jocelyn the Rock, Blair Turnbull, Sarah Nurse, missed her at Wisconsin. She's awesome. Spooner, I know her a little bit. She's awesome, like on and off the ice. And Emma Malte, she's my age. We kind of grew up playing against each other, and she's a good friend. So I'm excited to be on her team rather than play against her, because I feel like our whole lives we've played against one another and kind of had the like intense rivalry. So I'm excited to be on her team. But there's just so many girls, and the staff, I really haven't met them yet, so I can't even I'm just excited to meet them and start working with them.
That's fair. That's fair. I was talking to Ali about this. I feel like the personalities, like the vibe overall for PWHL Toronto seems pretty solid. Like,
really? I've heard from some of the girls, they're like, it's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like in a good way, it spreads the whole like field, right? You got like some like serious folks, I'm sure, and just also some absolute just hilarious personalities, at least from the media side, from what I can see. It seems pretty sweet, and like having that all kind of sing in harmony is pretty cool. You don't always get that, but it seems like it's a good time. Ali seems to think so too. So, and I talked to Nursey right around, I guess it was an NHL All-Star for this past season, and she's like, yeah, we're not worried. We know what we got. And I was like, all right, you better talk your mess, and then place, there we go. So there you go. I love it. Well, Daryl, always fun to catch up with you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Women's Hockey Spotlight, part of Locked On NHL.
Thank you so much for having me.